everyone, and welcome to this tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you how to price a build item in Lula Build. So as you can see, I'm inside of my project workbench in a project where I've already defined a bill of quantities. I've set up a resource list and I've built some clusters. So we're ready to start pricing build items. So in this bill of quantities, you'll note that most of these items already have net rates assigned to them, so they've already been priced. But I've left one item unpriced for today's example, and that is the plastering of the interior walls. So in Lula Build, all net rates are built up from first principles. So what that means is there's a worksheet and a calculation sitting behind every single net rate that we see here. So I'm going to show you how you can build up a net rate for this plastering item. So I'm going to open up this item by double clicking on it, and that's going to launch the build item editor, where you can edit the item and you can price the worksheet. Okay, so the build item editor is split up into three different areas. On the left hand side, you've got the build item explorer, where you can browse the internals of the item. So at the moment, we've got the build item with one worksheet sitting underneath it, and that worksheet is empty. Then we've got a calculation sheet in the middle where we will actually price the item. And then we have some action tabs on the right hand side here where you can edit the info of the worksheet and pull some resources in and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to open up the insert tab, and this will then give us access to our full resource list where we can browse all of the resources that we've already created, and we can pull these resources into the calculation sheet. Okay, so when we plaster the walls, there's three different types of resources that we need. We need some labor, so we'll probably need a plasterer and a general laborer to help them. And we might need some mortar to plaster the walls as well. Okay, so I can search for those resources in this list by making use of the search bar. So let's say I'm looking for labor. I can type in labor, and automatically that brings up all of the labor resources in this project. So you can either double click on a resource to insert that into the worksheet, or you can select the resources that you require and then click the insert selected button, and they will both get pulled into the worksheet. Okay, and then we also need mortar, but mortar is actually a combination of resources. So mortar consists of building sand, building water, and cement. So I've set up a cluster for mortar already in this project, and you can pull clusters into worksheets as well. So you can do that by going to the bottom of your insert pane and opening up the insert clusters accordion. And here you can see I've got my mortar cluster already set up. So I'm going to double click on that, and that then pulls mortar into the worksheet. And as you can see, mortar actually has three resources sitting inside of the cluster. And if I want to see how this mortar is mixed, I can click on the mortar in the explorer, and that will bring up the calculation sheet of the mortar for me, where I can see exactly what's been allowed for. Right, so I'm going to switch back to my worksheet. And just to organize this calculation sheet a little bit better, I'm just going to add some comments to it. And I can do that by making use of the kebab menu. So I'm going to insert the comment. And let's just insert the comment here. And let's call it labor. Right, and let's insert the comment above the materials. And let's call it materials. Alright, so that just organizes your worksheet a little bit better. And now you'll note that the plastering item has been priced per squares, but the children resources sitting inside of its worksheet are not priced per squares. So the labor is priced per day and the mortar is priced per cube. So we've actually got to adjust these allowables and these units so that they all match up to the parent items unit, which is squares. Okay, so to transform the labor, we've got to take it from day to squares. So let's say we've got 3 laborers on site helping us with the plastering. So I can edit the transform column and fill in any formula to transform those allowables. So let's say we've got 3 laborers on site. And let's say they're working at a production rate of 25 squares a day. So I'm going to divide this by 25 squares per day. So that's going to transform the allowable from days to squares by dividing it. Okay, and now we can see that the general labor component is costing us 24 Rand per square when we're plastering this wall. All right, and the plasterer is cost, let's say we've got one plasterer on site helping us with the plastering. And let's say this plaster also works at a production rate of 25 squares per day. Okay, so now we can see that the plastering component is costing 18 Rand per square. Okay, and then the mortar is priced per cube, so we've got to transform that from cubic meters to square meters. So let's say when we work with mortar, when we plaster, we use about 0.025 cubes of mortar per square. So I'm going to multiply that by 0.025 cubes per square. And once again, in Lula Build, everything inside of square brackets is ignored by the equation compiler. So that's just a note or a comment for you, the estimator, or whoever is reading your bill of quantities to understand what your calculations actually meant. Okay, and let's say we want to allow for some wastage on the mortar. So let's say we waste about, say we waste 15% when we work with the mortar. Okay, so now we can see that the mortar component is costing us 14 Rand and 74 cents per square, and in total it's costing us 56 Rand and 74 cents to plaster 1 square of wall. Okay, and we can look at the allowable breakdown, and here we can see the breakdown of by type, for example. So we can see this 56 Rand is 42 Rand of that goes towards labor, and 14 Rand goes towards the material component. Okay, so you can go ahead and price all of your bill items in Lula Build in this way. You can do full detailed resource breakdowns, so you can come up with the most accurate costs possible. And note that this will then populate the net rate, but the selling rates are all zero. So everything we've done so far is cost to company. And in a follow-up video, I'll show you how you can assign markup to these items to assign selling rates to each bill item. Thanks for joining us, and until next time.